Hey y'all, so today we are going to be checking out a mock off-season situation with the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be running this front office as the GM. Sorry, Jerry Jones, you are out, I'm in. I will be making some moves, some key additions, some departures, restructuring, and doing a bunch of stuff with contracts to make the money we need available. And we'll follow that up with a mock draft based on the needs after free agency. So stick with me, buckle up, this is going to be a fun one, and let's get rolling.
Cowboys Nation, stand up tall. We'll never let our spirit fall.
All right, so first things first, Cowboys hired Christian Parker as their defensive coordinator. He is an absolute young, rising star in the league as far as the coaches go. And, so there's some people out there that are like, why didn't the Cowboys go get a proven guy, some guy that's, been around the block and has done his thing and is successful, right? And listen, here's what I'll say to that. Every single one of those guys, whether they're head coaches or established DCs or whatever, they had to get their start somewhere and call plays for the first time somewhere, okay? I am excited that the Cowboys have finally moved differently than they typically do. I'm glad that we don't have yet another retread, maybe a head coach that was fired and is now going back to a DC position again. I don't want that. I want young, innovative, and it brings a little more excitement to this thing because it feels like they're really building towards something potentially special in a year or two. But this coaching search just screams of moving differently, and it has me very excited for free agency. When's the last time you look at these trades the Cowboys made before the season, during the season? You look at the coaching search they just went through. When's the last time the Cowboys interviewed this many guys, sat around for this long, weighing their options, and really conducted an extensive search like this? I don't think it's ever happened, at least not since I've been watching the team. I've been a fan of the team. So this is different than what the Cowboys have typically done in the past. And it gives me hope that maybe free agency will be a little different, this time around. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe nothing will change. But the team is undoubtedly up to this point, moving differently than we've seen in the past. All right, now move aside, Jerry. It's my turn as GM. My first free agency cycle, my first draft as GM. I'm doing this totally for free. No charge at all to the team. You're very welcome. Hopefully I kill it. So up first guy I'm looking at, this is going to be a little scary because of injury concerns and age, but Trey Hendrickson, edge. All right. Spotrac has him at $25.5 million per year, average annual value. All right. Now, is that true? Is he really going to sign somewhere for 25 mil? I don't know. I would, if I'm the GM and I'm trying to sign him to my team and attract him to my team, okay, I'm going to offer him 25.5 roughly with no injury clauses or anything. Okay. However, I'll add some contract modifiers and bonuses in there for games played, so the contract is worth up to, say, maybe 28 or 30 million. That way, and that's the annual value, obviously, not overall, but just the annual value. This guy, he's a game wrecker if he's healthy. Okay, he's 31, has had a lot of injuries. All right, but when he plays, he's still an absolute stud, an absolute difference maker. And this team needs somebody not for the long term, but somebody who can come in and make an impact right away. And so Trey Hendrickson, we'll say $25.5 million. That's my first signing. That's his average annual value, $25.5 million. Keep that in mind. All right, Jalen Watson, he's a cornerback. All right, his average annual value, according to, again, Spotrac, $12.5 million. So not bad at all. And listen, this guy has really grown as a player, as a corner. All right, he's allowed, in 2023, for example, he had 5 touchdowns allowed in coverage. Since then, that's 2024, 2025. 0 touchdowns allowed. He hasn't had a ton of, like picks and things like that, but he hasn't allowed a ton of big plays, hasn't allowed any touchdowns at all. So this guy is still developing, but I think this guy is going to be a star or could be, a high-end player in the NFL. So that's $12.5 million for Jalen Watson, cornerback. Quay Walker, linebacker. Okay, he can come in and play middle linebacker. He can play Sam. I think it just depends on what you're going to do, in the draft or what other moves you might make in free agency. Remember, you got Logan Wilson still at middle linebacker. So this guy can play middle linebacker. This guy can play Sam. He's really sideline to sideline, super fast player. He's still, learning a little bit, not as quick to diagnose. He's gotten better. In 2025, he was much better at diagnosing plays in the run game versus previous seasons. And this is a guy who's not going to come in and save your 2026 season. You still need more pieces other than him, but he's very rangy. He has explosive traits. And I think with a really good interior defensive line, which we have, this guy could be actually, a difference maker paired alongside other good players. So I'm still interested in drafting a linebacker with this signing, but this is a player that I'm very much interested in taking a look at in free agency. And for $9.5 million, you can sign him again as your middle linebacker or your Sam. Jalen Hawkins, safety. Okay, $8.2 million average annual value. He was a 2020 fourth round pick for the Falcons. And he's, bounced around a little bit. But 2025, he kind of had a breakout year, right? And does he leave, the Patriots? Does he not? We'll see. But if he does, right, and he hits free agency, if they don't retain him, actually, it's funny. It's cool. Pro Football Focus has Hawkins as the number 5 overall safety in 2025. So he's had a really nice season, and he's going to be around, 8.5 to 10 mil. But if you can get it for, we'll say 8.2, that's what Spotrac has his value at. I think that is a killer signing right there in free agency. And listen, I don't want to get caught up too much in the weeds here, but I am kind of a numbers nerd and a cap guy. So if you want to skip this financial section, please feel free to do that. I've got in the bottom of the video here on the timeline, I've got timestamps so you can skip to the next part of the video. But for right now, let's go ahead and cover those financials. So currently, Spotrac has the Cowboys at negative $32 million in cap space. However, the cap's reportedly going to rise about $30 million next year, $305 million overall. So that pretty much takes care of their negatives right off the bat. These free agent additions that I mentioned, so that's going to be Trey Hendrickson, Jalen Watson, Quay Walker, Jalen Hawkins. That's going to add about 55.5 average annual value to the cap. Obviously, the way the contracts are structured, you're not going to pay that exact amount every single year. You're probably going to backload all these deals, maybe some of the deals, I don't know. But you're not going to have a charge of 55.7 hit you on the cap every single year, for these deals. You'll probably face a higher amount on the back end, lower amount on the front end. So, and the Cowboys, they'll make a bunch of smaller moves and signing lower tiered free agents. You got to fill out, your special teams, etc. You've got to have the depth. You'll move on from some guys too. So we'll just call that a wash financially on the lower tier, players. But then also you got to keep in mind you're going to need room for roster management during the season. That's about $10 million that you need free to move players on and off the practice squad, to make any sort of signings you want to make during that period. So you roughly $10 million is what you want to have, available to you at all times. And then for the draft picks, they'll need about $13 million, according to Over the Cap, to sign their draft picks based on where they're picking in the draft and that value financially. So let's just say between the draft and roster management, that's rounded up to $25 million. So we've got to free up about $82.7 million overall. Again, not really 100% accurate, but just for the sake of this exercise, we're taking the AAV and not the actual cap implications that these players will have based on the contract structure. But let's just say for this video, we've got to free up $82.7 million. So how do we do that? All right. Here are the things that I definitely would do. All right. You're going to restructure Dak again for the 100 billionth time. All right. This is going to hurt when he leaves one day, but for right now, just got to do it. So 30 mil freed up with the Dak restructure. You're going to restructure Tyler Smith. Doesn't hurt as bad because you're going to extend him down the road. And so that's $18 million to free up right there. You're going to restructure Osa. That's $12 million. Restructure CD. Again, the CD one doesn't really hurt because you're probably going to extend him on another contract down the road at some point, and you're going to push that can down the road continuously. So it's $20 million. You free up with CD. You're going to extend Quinnen Williams for $16 million. So that frees up $96 million in cap space right there. So what is that? That's a $14 million differential. So you're ahead of the curve about $14 million right now. Okay. Maybe you can restructure Deron Bland. That's $9 million. I wouldn't do it. I would not restructure Deron Bland personally because of the injury concerns, and I don't want that money coming back to haunt me when he's not even on the roster anymore, down the road. That's not a guy that I'm sure the Cowboys will keep onto another contract or even fully through his second contract. You can release not Damone Clark. You can release Kenny Clark, post you one. That saves you $21 million, or you can extend him, which I think is the better option, and that gets you $15 million freed up. All right. And then the big elephant in the room is Terrence Steele. What do you do with him? Because Terrence Steele, I would like to move on from him. Right, it saves you $14 million if you release him. The issue is who are you gonna replace? Are you going to draft a guy? Well, that kind of messes up the whole process of using your draft picks for defense, right? And so you might just have to roll with Steele another season, unfortunately. And looking at these guys at free agency, I mean, there's not really a player that I'm really interested in at tackle that's tremendously better than Terrence Steele. So unfortunately, we're rolling with Steele another season. Okay, so all the things that I would do: restructure Dak, restructure Tyler Smith, restructure Osa, restructure CD, extend Quinnen, and let's go ahead and extend Kenny Clark as well. That frees up $111 million in cap space. Okay, so you needed 82.7. We freed up 111 heading into the draft. So we've got a boatload of money. We can maybe even make some more moves, or that money is going to roll over. Whatever you don't use will roll over into the next season, and you can use that at that point in time. But there's moves to be made, money to be had, and you can definitely do really whatever you want here in the free agency cycle with this team. Now, somebody I haven't mentioned, right, and this is another elephant in the room, is George Pickens. What do you do with him? So you can extend him or sign him to a long-term deal. All right, you're not going to really get hit with major cap charges for 2026 for doing that. You'll probably backload that contract, or what they'll probably do, and what I'm hearing is they'll make him play it out on the franchise tag. That's $28 million. But you can see in this scenario that I just brought up, you've got the space to do that if that's what they want to do. Personally, I'm either going to tag him and trade him, or I'm going to give him a long-term deal. I don't want to eat that 28 mil right off rip. I'd rather use that for something else. Go out and sign, make a major signing in free agency or whatever you want to do. I don't want to tag him and make him play on the tag. I'll tag him and trade him, or tag him and work out a deal, but I'm trying my damnedest to not make him play it out on the tag. And there's character concerns with him, from the Cowboys' perspective. He's late to meetings all the time. We've seen it on the field. He doesn't always give 110% effort. And so I get it. I get making him play it out on the franchise tag, but from a financial standpoint, I hate it. I think that's devastating for the team, and it really restricts your ability to do other things, and you can't use that tag for anybody else. So it hurts your negotiating leverage with other players as well. So that's my thoughts on George Pickens. But now, since we have our free agency kind of locked in for the high-end players anyways, and we have our outlook financially, let's go ahead and jump into a mock draft. So I fully went into this mock draft expecting to trade back. I wanted to trade back, whether it was from 12 to like 16 or like 20 to 25. But man, they were two absolute dogs at 12 and 20. There is no world in which I'm passing up on either one of these guys. So I picked number 1, Sonny Styles. And if you watch any of my other videos, you're already aware of how big a fan I am of Sonny Styles. I think this is the best linebacker in the draft this year. He's completely sideline to sideline. He comes from a safety background, so he understands coverages, has a really great cover linebacker, which his team is lacking, all right? And I think he's a guy who's going to come in and make an impact right away. Yes, he's got to develop. All rookies got to develop. I think he can play middle linebacker for you right off rip. And so now you can move your free agent signing over to Sam, right? Now your linebackers are set. You still need some depth pieces. You got Logan Wilson still, but you still need some more depth pieces. But I think adding Sonny Styles to the mix is a no-brainer, and he's a guy who, once he figures everything out, and you pair that with his electricity, just his high motor, relentless nature, ability to fly sideline to sideline. I think he is and you look at this defensive line too. Don't forget, the Cowboys have a nasty interior that's going to keep linemen off of Sonny Styles. I think this is a guy who's going to absolutely dominate early in his career. So Sonny Styles, pick number 12. And so at pick 20, here comes Cassius Howell. Now this guy's highs are high and his lows are low. He's going to need some development. All right, rookies around this point, especially edge players, typically fall into that category. All right, but here's a guy who really excelled at the college level as a pure pass rusher. All right, the question mark for him in the NFL is going to be when these offensive tackles anchor and get their mitts on him. Right, their big old juicy mitts on this guy. He has pass rush moves. He's got an arsenal of moves, but does he have the ability to shed that and get into the backfield? And then not only get into the backfield, but close on to the quarterback at that point. He's got a natural bend. All right, he's quick, he's fast. But the question is, when he gets hands on him, what does he do? And how does he play against the run in that scenario? Is he going to be an every down edge? Or is he going to be a pass rush specialist who is going to, be optimized in sub packages? That's the question for this guy, and that's why he's getting drafted at 20 here and not 12. But he's a guy who can easily outperform where he's selected in the draft if he's in the right situation, and I think Dallas might be that situation. So Cassius Howell, pick number 20 for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, now in the 4th round, this is the last pick we'll do in this mock. I don't like to get into the 5th round and 6th round, all that, but our final pick in this mock, 4th round, Kaytron Allen. And now this is the issue you have with not having 2nd round picks, 3rd round picks, is that, man, they still have so many needs, but who's available at that point in the 4th round, right? And running back is typically a position where you can get some value in the 4th round. And by picking Kaytron Allen, in my head, that means Javonte Williams was probably not extended or not signed to a long-term deal with the Cowboys. And so you basically got Jadon Blue, you got Hunter Lipke. Hunter's not going to see a ton of meaningful touches. And so Kaytron Allen replaces that physical specimen that you need to counter or to pair with a Jadon Blue type. So Kaytron Allen, super smart player, between the tackles guy, not really speedy, but very physical. He's patient, waits for holes to open, for blocks to develop, and he's a guy that can bruise and batter a defense. And so you pair him with Jadon Blue, and there's your 1-2 punch. Maybe throw some Hunter Lipke in there for funsies, since they don't use him very often. I think they should use Hunter Lipke more often, but for whatever reason they don't. But our last pick in this mock, 4th round, Kaytron Allen, running back out of Penn State. All right, so here's what we ended up with. In free agency, we grabbed Trey Hendrickson, $25 million a year, but we added some bonuses in there, some incentives. Maybe we can entice him to come to Dallas. The incentives are playing enough games, right? It's pretty simple to stay healthy and you make more money. Don't know if $25 million is really enough to get him here on an average basis, but I don't know. That's what Spotrac's saying, so that's what we're rolling with. Got Jalen Watson, cornerback, Quay Walker, linebacker, Jalen Hawkins, safety. I'm very excited about Jalen Hawkins. I think he's going to be a really good player here as he continues to develop. We drafted a linebacker at Ohio State, Sonny Styles, edge out of Texas A&M, Cassius Howell, and running back out of Penn State, Kaytron Allen. Sonny Styles is a guy that's going to come in right away, especially with this defensive line that's really nasty up the middle. And I think Sonny Styles can be an impact guy straight out of the gate for you. He's going to make some mistakes, but his pure athleticism, his explosiveness, it allows him to make those mistakes and still be really, really good. Cassius Howell is a guy who's going to have to do a little bit of developing here, but I think he can be an immediate pass rusher off the edge. The question for me is going to be, how does he hold up when he is locked down by these tackles in the NFL, these big, strong dudes? How does he get around those guys? Can he continue to develop his technique, hand fight, and get around those guys? Or is he going to be kind of a one-trick pony, have to get around the edge quickly, or else he gets locked down? We'll see how he develops, how he plays, but that's a guy who could develop into something really nice for this Dallas Cowboys team, who's in desperate need of pass rushers. And now it's exciting to see Cassius Howell, Donovan Ezeraku in his 2nd year, going to re-sign Clowney, bring him back as a pass rusher, and then obviously Trey Hendrickson. So that edge room is kind of taking shape here just in these few names alone. And then Kaytron Allen, you're going to pair him with your running back Jadon Blue in his 2nd year, and Kaytron's going to be the hammer, Jadon Blue is going to be the lightning, and you may have something cooking there in the backfield. And don't forget about our guy Hunter Lipke. Please throw him in every now and then. We need to see more Hunter Lipke reps out there on the field. All right, so if you made it this far in the video, I super appreciate you watching this thing all the way through. Give me your thoughts. What do you think? What would you have done differently? Give me a couple names you're looking out for there in free agency. Maybe a couple names you're looking for in the draft. Do you like Cassius Howell at 20? Do you think he makes it to 20? Do you think he should be maybe considered more of a 2nd round guy? There's a lot of opinions on that guy, specifically kind of all over the place, so I'm interested to see what the community thinks. As always, y'all, appreciate the love and support. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm a small channel just trying to grow. You can check us out as well over on Twitter. Click in the top right, the little search button, type in Cowboys Storyliners. We're a little fan group for Nick Eatman's show, Cowboys Storyline. And we talk every Thursday live. We get together on Twitter, host a space, and chat with all the fans. So you can check us out there. But guys, appreciate you. Appreciate the love and support. And I'll catch you later.